DiMarco and brought to you by our friends at Resto Pros. It is Thanksgiving. We all have a lot to be thankful for, like family, friends, football, our health, all that we're thankful for in our lives. Speaking of life and health, Mike?
Oh, see, that's smooth. Right there. Yeah. Can we just go ahead and nominate South Carolina Sportscaster of the Year, Jamie Bradford, for the smooth segue on Lurie Life and Health, presented by Joel Lurie. Over 100 years of combined experience helping clients and agents with Medicare, health, and life insurance. Even if it's not for you specifically, certainly you can keep your family involved in all of this, and they know the challenges that you face overcoming the obstacles to find the right solutions. Service is free. Did I mention that? FREE free, 803-256-2067. And a great suit from Brent Skinner is not free. But I'll tell you what, this is an Amex. This is the Delta Sky Miles Amex. This is my baby. Between now and the end of the year, you buy a custom suit from Brent Skinner, I'm buying you the tie. You buy 3, I'm buying you 3 ties. If you're a big baller and you're buying like 20, like these guys, Garcia and DiMarco, they're ballers. If you buy 20, that might be a little bit out of my range. I have to cap it somewhere, maybe like 5 ties. But go ahead, say hello to Brent and the staff over there in the Vista. Also, if you in Charleston, Greenville, or somewhere else, Brent will come to you if you really want to get your wardrobe done right. He does house calls all the time for people across the country. The very best in threads. You will be looking absolutely stunning thanks to Brent Skinner and the job that they do over at Skinner, BS Skinner Clothiers. So go ahead and check them out as well.
Speaking of house calls, we head to the home of the great Steven Garcia and the home of the great Pat DiMarco, the co-hosts of Tailgate Talks, which is, of course, part of our network here. We didn't have Pat on Monday. Steven, I know, is in the middle of some stuff, so we're not going to keep you forever. But it's Clemson Carolina week, and there's nobody better that we'd rather have than you two, who connected in the end zone in the Upstate 14 years ago. We're getting old, boys.
God bless. Is that Bud Heavy you're drinking, Steven?
That's right.
Is that the King?
Mm-hmm.
Yo, dude.
I got an ice cold LaCroix.
I got a busy. I just got done training. I got a busy day of brining turkeys and stuff today.
Sweet, dude. I love it.
So I knocked all that out this morning.
Hey, I have a holiday drink for all of you. It's
bourbon.
I discovered it maybe I mentioned it last year. Well, close. Have y'all tried the salted caramel Crown Royal?
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh,
that does not sound appetizing at all.
Have you ever had Have you ever had the liqueur rum chata? Have y'all ever had that? It's really good.
Yeah.
Okay. Equal parts. One shot to one shot, or Stephen, in your case, 6 to 6.
Okay.
Salted caramel crown, rum chata, ice cube, like a big ice cube or ice cubes. That's it. It is the most spectacular holiday drink on the planet. I only had 4 last night.
Right.
I had 5.
How many of those were after the rankings drop?
Well, they were after a couple of vodkas. For what? Anyways, nobody wants to hear about that. Stephen, Pat, we'll start with Stevens. I know you got to run here just a minute. You got your boys and all that stuff going on, man. But one of the neat, we mentioned this in the last segment. One of the neat things about this rivalry now is the fact that there's a college playoff berth on the line for both teams. It's going to raise the rivalry from a national relevance standpoint. But what all the people across the country don't understand, that you two understand as well as anybody ever, is this thing is freaking intense. And Steven, LaNorris Sellers is going to get his first start in Death Valley on Saturday. It's a noon game. What was your first start like up there? What will he be going through?
I mean, first off, it's not the real Death Valley. Let's get that out of the way. Especially a noon game. I mean, I'm sure Pat can attest to this, especially, his time in the NFL. I mean, I absolutely hated noon games because you are up early at the crack of dawn and you're right into it, as opposed to like the 7:30 games. We'd do the walkthroughs, we'd have breakfast, team meal, take a nap, kind of watch a little bit of college football, kind of get in the rhythm of things. But this, as far as the LaNorris goes, I mean, hell, I don't think it's going to be any different. I think he's going to be ready to rock and roll no matter what. I mean, he's playing, as we've talked on this show several times, he's playing with such confidence, and I mean, you can see it through the screen. It's kind of awesome to see. And I know Pat and I were just talking. We're gonna have to throw some jingle at him to keep him in Columbia, I think.
I think the good part is he's an in-state kid, and I think that will definitely lean into it. Just in the hour and a half we spent with him when we recorded with him, like he's about all the right stuff. I don't think. Obviously he's worth every dollar he gets. Hopefully he stays here, but I don't think that we should be too worried about him going somewhere just because of what his recruiting process, and obviously us being loyal to him and all that. But dude, I'm the opposite, man. I guess it might just be like the fullback mentality, but like game day hit, and I'm just like, I'm ready to put my helmet on. I'm ready to go. Like an early game was what I wanted. I didn't want to lay around. Like I wanted to get up and go. There's like mutual respect, mutual hate, and also like mutual love for each other in this rivalry. And like the love's in a weird way, like love to just get after each other. And I think that's part of the mutual respect. All the tension and stuff that was had, fights before. Obviously, DJ Swearinger punted a ball out of the end zone when he picked off a long snap pregame, ruffled some feathers. But I expect us to go up there and play with the same mentality we played with all year. I don't think it really changes much. Last night I did the Carolina Calls show over at Backstreets, and Coach Beamer was talking, and one of the questions was, how do you kind of dial back the intensity of this game? Like it's going to get chippy, it's going to be on edge, and he's like, this is all stuff we've talked about going into this week. Like it doesn't really just because we're playing Clemson, just because there's playoff potentially on the line. Like we want to go out, and this is one of the 12 regular season games we have this year. Obviously, it weighs a little bit more, but we're going to go at it with the same mentality and not make it bigger than it really is.
Yeah, I feel like that's more difficult now than ever because there's so much. We have all these different forms of communication. You pick up your phone, it's in your face, whatever it is. And now you've got the play. Carolina is in contention, guys, to make the college football playoff. Let that sink in for a second. You got rivalry week, you got the playoffs. It's got to be probably a little bit different and more difficult for Coach and his staff to keep those guys from getting distracted. I would say this though, and y'all have both been seniors. When you've got a bunch of seniors like they do, especially good ones who play and they're the leaders of the team, it's probably much easier for those guys to keep the rest of them focused, Stephen.
Pat had senior night and senior day and walked through the stadium. I did not make it the full senior deal.
We know that.
So that was kind of shitty, but it is what it is.
Had that stolen from you.
Thanks, Eric Hyman.
Was that Eric or was that Coach?
I know that's I in my little dream world, I'm just going to blame Eric Hyman because I blame him for other stuff. So
that's.
I didn't really jive with that guy. I kind of didn't think he was a winner, but that's just my.
Yeah, me neither.
Hey,
some people just aren't winning. I bet he wouldn't be drinking a Bud Heavy the day before Thanksgiving, would he?
No.
What a loser. Anyway.
What a loser.
He's not. He's just a loser. Oh, that's awesome.
Pat,
anyway.
what you got? What about to say, Pat?
they're eating the dogs.
I got nothing.
Can I throw one
Pat,
actual?
When you yeah,
Go ahead,
Mike.
Well, I was going to do a sharp detour to the actual game, but the matchup here. One thing I will say for Clemson is that whatever was going on in Cade Klubnik's head early on, he's kind of figured some things out. And for me, the intriguing matchup is he's playing his best ball, but he's also about to play the best defense he's seen all year. So, how does that how does that shake down? I don't know. What do you guys think?
I don't think if we stop the run and tackle well on the perimeter, then if we make Cade Klubnik drop back and have to hold on to the football and throw it down the field, they're screwed. And I mean, that's where we thrive too. The last 2 weeks, we have struggled stopping the run and tackling on the perimeter. It's not been, I don't think there's any hiding from that. The last 2 weeks have not been our best 2 weeks defensively. But I mean, if we can, I mean, I would put an extra guy in the box, make him try to throw it over your head. And as long as they don't pop one or break a tackle somewhere, I don't see. I mean, I might be. I'm usually not this biased that we're going to go kick ass, but I think if we do that, man, this game. If LaNorris plays well and we don't turn the ball over, this is ours to lose.
Steven?
Yeah, no, I think Pat's 100% right. Having TJ Sanders and Kyle Kennard, I mean, that's literally what they were saying too. And I think Pat hit the nail on the head. Just make him beat you with his arm, and we just got to keep doing what we're doing on offense. And I mean, I honestly think we're going to beat the hell out of them. I really do.
Yeah, LaNorris Sellers is playing as good a football as any quarterback. Matter of fact, he's playing better football than any quarterback in the SEC, and therefore I think you put him in that conversation around college football as well. But Steven, look, man, with his confidence and his play, we've had wideouts emerge, and now you've got weapons. Josh Simon is expected to be back for the game this weekend. Nick Harbor has been running crisp routes, catching the football. Elvon Campbell. You start getting 3 and 4 weapons out there, and you got a guy named Rocket Sanders. There's a reason that offense right now is clicking just like anybody else in the Southeastern Conference.
Yeah, no, I think you're absolutely right. I think, as we've talked about in the past couple of weeks on the show, I think the offensive line is kind of getting more, gelled together, and, that happens when you get, game reps. So, yeah, I mean, it's the perfect storm for Carolina football. So, I think we go into the fake Death Valley. I think we beat their ass, and I think we put on a good showing enough to, get into the playoffs. That's obviously, I'm biased and I'm hopeful, but I generally feel like that's what's going to happen. And we need to do it. I mean, I think we need to go in there and absolutely just beat the brakes off of them to kind of show the playoff committee, whoever the hell those morons are, that we deserve to be in, the 12 teams.
I mean, that's a good segue. I would love. I mean, you guys have done a lot more analysis of this than Steven and I have. Like, what needs to happen for us to get in? Like, obviously, we beat Clemson, but it ain't that easy. There's the 6 conference champions get in, and then 6. The 6 other teams that the committee votes on, like
5 and 7, Pat. It's 5.
5 and 7.
Yeah. The top 5 conference champions.
Group of 5, yeah.
Yeah, including the group of 5. So if there's 2 group of 5s ranked higher in the committee than a Power 4, those 2 would get in. So
the Big 12 could get shut out. So South Carolina, all right, besides beating Clemson, they actually need Syracuse to beat Miami so Clemson can move to Charlotte and win the ACC and get in, because a win over a conference champion would be very impressive. Yeah. And they need Miami to lose. Some people say they need SMU to lose. I don't think they're going to take 2 ACC teams. I think that would just be a joke, but I guess they're talking about it. Vanderbilt beating Tennessee at Vandy would be important. That sounds like a long shot, but Tennessee's really been playing kind of like in that 24-17 range all year.
Yeah.
And Vandy can win those games. I mean, I'm not ruling that out. Auburn winning the Iron Bowl would be good. There's other things like Mississippi State winning the Egg Bowl. That's not happening. Or Purdue, who's god awful, beating Indiana. Notre Dame losing to Southern Cal would help too. So there's just a lot. The more chaos, the better.
We're going to need 3 upsets, I think, to be. I mean, I think we're going to need at least 2 to 3 upsets to even be considered, which sucks because if you look at, we started 3 and 3. You look at our, if we beat Clemson, you look at our last 6 games, we're one of the best teams in the country, and there's no doubt about it. I just wonder how much the second half of the year and those 6 games in a row, like how much they weigh. Like if the committee truly
but
says
isn't that the whole purpose of this damn committee? Like, you take the 12 best teams.
Right.
regardless of, if it's in the beginning of the year or the middle of the year or the second part of the
Bingo.
year. Or,
I'm
Right?
a little more optimistic, Pat, in that
Exactly.
I just
Steven.
feel like, first off, Clemson being ranked as highly as it is, and most people think they got overranked, is actually a blessing. Okay. That, and if what you guys are saying actually comes to fruition, in other words, this is not just a win, this is a beatdown. If that happens, even if Ole Miss wins, but it's competitive in the Egg Bowl, and Alabama wins, but it's competitive in the Iron Bowl, I'm still clinging to, if you look at those resumes at that point, Carolina's got a real strong case to be the best of those 3 loss teams, playing the best football with the fewest amount of bad losses, in fact, 0, and the most amount of road victories, which we constantly are told is so important. Anybody's real good on their home field, but what about teams on true road games? Well, Carolina would have everybody trumped in that category in the SEC. So I know it's going to take a little bit of creativity by the committee to not just be lazy analysis, but I'm a little more optimistic than some on that.
Yeah. I mean, I wonder if they put it through like a artificial intelligence simulation. I wonder what that would come up with.
Well, that'd be a great, actually, Steve. I mean, I guarantee you
idea.
there's somebody out there that'll tell you who the Vegas favorite would be right now. And like if Carolina played Alabama neutral field, Carolina played Ole Miss neutral field, I have a strong feeling that Carolina would be a Vegas favorite. And take that for what it's worth. But the thing that you love about Vegas is that Vegas has no bias. Vegas doesn't care. Vegas is not a fan of anybody. Vegas just looks at it nuts and bolts and says, this is the better team right now.
Yeah.
I think Vegas will be on Carolina's side personally.
I'm surprised that, Pat and I were talking. I'm surprised that Clemson is a 2.5-point favorite right now.
Yeah. But that's another one too, where I think that's actually a blessing because it just, what they're doing. I mean, everybody out there is kind of pumping up Clemson right now. The committee is pumping them up. Clemson's a 2.5-point favorite. I think they were as high as 5, Jamie? I think it was somewhere at one point in that ballpark before money started coming in on Carolina. But
I know
all that's actually a good thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Yeah, exactly. And y'all pointed out the road victories. I mean, Carolina is not just, I mean, we'll see what it looks like this weekend, but they weren't just winning on the road. They were beating the crap out of everybody on the road. I mean, embarrassing them in their own ballparks. Y'all know how hard that is. Alabama just went to Oklahoma, where South Carolina won by 26 points and lost by 21.
Yeah.
And that's a
just
brutal
saying.
Loss.
That is brutal.
That and Ole Miss's brutal loss to Kentucky. Carolina doesn't have that. They don't have any loss that they're embarrassed about. It's disappointing. LSU should have been a win. Alabama could have been a win, but there's nothing on that resume. Even the Ole Miss game at home, Ole Miss just recently was a top 10 team.
Well,
right.
How they have to structure it, they have to follow their own rules, which they don't because they're a bunch of hypocrites. They're just like politicians. They sit there and they're like, well, we're going to consider things like injuries. They eliminated 13 wins last year because of an injury. Right? That didn't count for Florida State. Now, I'm not saying Bama wasn't the better team. That was the right call, but they just did this. Okay. All right. So the whole point of comparing the head-to-head with Ole Miss, Bama, and Carolina is they're all 3 loss teams. We'll go back to the LSU game, and I'm just going to take the fact the refs screwed them, and the whole country said that. That's not just a Gamecock opinion. That's everybody's opinion. You can't count that, right? Who didn't play the second half against LSU while they came back and won? LaNorris Sellers.
Yeah.
Why in a game? Hey, buddy. Right. Why in a game like that would that not count? Why would that not come under consideration? Because you have a 2-loss Texas who's played one good team and gotten throttled, ranked ahead of said team that has 2 losses. So if you count Carolina like a 2-loss team, wouldn't based on Sellers being injured, would they not get the benefit of the doubt? That's the little extra thing that's written in their bylaws or their criteria that they're just ignoring. Ward and those guys, I don't understand it.
That's a very valid point. But as we talked about earlier, there's nobody playing better football. And I'm not even saying this as, as a former player, as a biased, opinionator. There's nobody playing better football than us right now in the last 5 or so weeks. There really isn't.
I would say that honestly. I'm gonna push
You have
back.
to
I would say that
continue to
prior to the last few weeks.
Prove that this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, like, I don't think we played great against Missouri. We did what we needed to do and won. And like the first half against Wofford, we looked like shit.
Oh, that's fair.
So like, but the 3 weeks prior, we were playing our best football. So I mean, I would say like KUTT cut, like we need to put our money where our mouth is on this game, and if we can go out there and beat Clemson by 10 plus points and have our way with them, like I think that is the anchor that we put our hat on. So this is a big game, and it's like if we win in a 2 to 3 point, one way or the other, like kick field goal to win the game, it's a big win. But man, that might be the straw that broke the camel's back.
No, I think you're right on that. I think we have to beat them by double digits to get some sort of consideration. But if it's like you're saying, if it's a couple, last second field goal, I don't think we're gonna make it.
Agreed.
But crazier shit has happened, so who knows?
And scores could get lopsided. I found when, as Pat said earlier, with his key to the game, if you got a drop back throw game, and the defensive line, I guess is like what the kids call these days, they're eating. And Carolina has had games like that this year where that line has just kicked somebody in the teeth. If that happens, and they're sacking Klubnik, and that's the scenario I think that could happen, like an Oklahoma or Kentucky type of pull away.
I'll ask you too, Stephen. Early in the game Saturday, it's going to be 80,000. It's going to be cold. It's going to be loud, and the whole everything about this rivalry being a quarterback in that ballpark. What is something that maybe they will do to get LaNorris Sellers, eased into the ball game, as opposed to having 2 or 3 drives where maybe things are kind of stalling out now? Like what do you think their early game plan would be to get him comfortable?
I mean, I think you just continue what he's been doing the last couple of weeks. But I mean, me personally, I like either doing an RPO and just taking it and running it, kind of knock the cobwebs off, or just throwing a freaking bomb. Just kind of get the adrenaline going and just kind of shake the cobwebs off, and then you're kind of settle down. But from everybody that I've talked to and around the team, and when Pat and I actually had a conversation with him, I mean, he is as even keel as possible. He's never too high, never too low, just kind of locked in at all times. So I don't think they changed what they've been doing the last couple of weeks. I don't know if Clemson's going to be planning on throwing batteries and water bottles and shit like that, but try to rattle his cage.
I think somebody in that fan base once accused a Carolina fan of throwing a baby off the top of the stadium or something. It's a very strange group up there.
Well, that's acceptable. It is a rivalry game,
according to the message boards.
According to the message boards, a baby was All right, Pat. Final thoughts and prediction here on this ball game, man.
I mean, I think if we can play from ahead and kind of get LaNorris confident and make Clemson drop back and throw the ball, I mean, I like a 27-10 victory Gamecocks. Yeah, boys.
I like that. Yeah, 27th. I'd take that all day long.
Playoff bound with that score.
Steve,
I done did it. I did the damn thing.
I like that.
I like
you taking cut bets on that one? Clemson plus 17. That'd be a fun one to do. Well, I'll give you a little sneak peek on the Fab Five. You go back to what you're talking about. Will Phil Maffa rush for a touchdown? See, I don't think Clemson has enough confidence that they want to turn this into a drop back game, and they're going to try to ground and pound.
Sorry, say that again.
Well, Jamie's freezing up a little bit, but he asked your final thoughts.
I was going to just
What, like score prediction or just final thoughts?
Yeah, score. Yeah, give us a score, dude.
I mean, I said, I forgot what I posted, but I think it was like 38-17. yeah, I think we're gonna kind of put the pedal to the metal, and because like we've been saying, man, we got to kind of show this committee that we're one of the best 12 teams in the country, and the only way to do that is kind of just beat their ass and score a lot of points. So that's kind of what I'm going with. Again, I don't think Death Valley is an extremely hard place to play in, especially at noon. So yeah, I kind of like us to go in there and just never take the gas off the pedal.
Yeah, there'll be 15,000 Gamecock fans there too. I mean, it's not. Yeah. It's a big road crowd either way.
Right.
It's loud. If they get going, you're down in that hole. They'll scream. I mean, it's a loud place, but it's when it's up there, Carolina usually brings a lot of people, and it's especially when Carolina starts winning. Yeah. It's.
I mean, and I think this year, more so than previous years, just with the playoff implications. I mean, people are excited about the possibility of being in the playoffs, and I know Clemson obviously has their dreams and aspirations too. But I think we got a lot more fight in us and a lot more to get a little more willpower. So yeah, I think we whipped their ass.
If Clemson wins, they're in, right?
Yeah, I would assume.
They set that up, yes, to where they are in, and it would also guarantee the ACC 2 spots.
Yeah, assuming Miami beats Syracuse.
Yeah,
I got some numbers that say
that's...
that the outcome of that game really won't matter. That if we take into account what the committee has said through this whole process this year, they're talking out of both sides of their mouth, and it's not really not really pretty.
And one thing I've noticed, I'll just finish up with this because I know we got off. Usually, these guys tinker and tinker and tinker, and then the last one, everybody's like, "Whoa!" Teams will move up 7-8 spots. They'll move out if they even with wins. It's
you know what it is.
If you look at the 4-team playoff, that's kind of how they rolled. But it's still maddening to listen to them now.
The last one, to your point, JC, that's what I call market correction Sunday, because these these first few, they don't really matter. They get people talking, and I think the committee just kind of plays it safe, but they know when there's actually stuff on the line and it's nut cutting time. Then all of a sudden you see like what you saw last year, where Alabama leapfrogged Florida State. Obviously, that took a key injury to do it, but they still did it. When a lot of people, when they knew they were going to take a absolute crap storm for doing it, they still did it. And I would just add, I'm not 100% sure if Clemson wins this game they're in. I don't think that's a mathematical certainty, because I'm not 1,000% sure the ACC deserves 2. Just
deserves and will get
you.
Well,
completely different things.
True. But I mean, most people think Clemson got a gift with their ranking in this poll. And I don't know if winning as a favorite at home against Carolina, let's say it's a close win, I don't know if that's that's their best win at that point, like by far. What else does Clemson have to chew on or flex about?
But that goes into that, like right now, put the ball down. We've been playing the best football potentially in the country. So I mean that kind of defends if they do win. So I mean there's so many different scenarios we could chase. I could drive myself nuts doing this or chasing around 4 kids, which I'm about to do here shortly.
That's right.
So,
put some Tito's in that LaCroix. You might need it.
Yeah,
the latter is definitely more rewarding, though, Pat. Yeah.
Who is on today's episode of Tailgate Talks?
We had 2 current guys that I think are about to go absolutely nuts on Saturday. We had Kyle Kennard and TJ Sanders, 2 freaking awesome kids, awesome human beings, about the right stuff. Wear the garnet and black proudly. Kyle's got 2 kids. He's supporting his family. He's basically sat there on the interview and told us, he's like, NIL's been awesome, but like, I'm looking forward to next year when I'm making real money, making sacks in the NFL. And TJ kind of reiterated that too. So 2 awesome guys, extremely entertaining, extremely sharp, well-spoken, coached by 2 gangsters of coaches, Travian Robertson and edge guy Sterling Lucas, who played at NC State. So it was awesome. Hopefully y'all listen to it. It was extremely entertaining.
Well, guys, and you're right, they are going to the NFL, both of them, and both of them might be first-round draft picks as well. Can't thank you enough. So glad and honored to call you longtime friends. Y'all do a killer job on Tailgate Talks. It was perfect to have you together today on our program. Happy Thanksgiving to both you and your wives and your families and your parents. All good people. And we look forward to hopefully talking about a win and maybe the playoffs next week.
You guys have a jolly old Thanksgiving.
Jolly. Thanks, guys, man. It was great. Great to see you,
Appreciate it.
Steven. Take Bud
Cheers.
heavy, man.
Cheers, boys.